So in this video, I want to talk to you about Citigroup, right? They're a major bank. I've covered them in some of my other videos, and they're going through a lot of change right now, lots of job cuts. If you work in the finance industry, any major type of corporate role, it's very interesting to learn from what they're actually doing and what their strategy is with regards to cutting tens of thousands of jobs. So you can see from this headline that Citigroup says they're going to cut about 20,000 jobs over the next 3 years. That's quite significant. It's of course not a small number. And what that means is it's an overall trend of the finance industry whereby things are kind of shrinking over time. And they're offshoring more jobs. I know lots of people talk about AI and automation, but lots of jobs are just being outsourced to lower cost locations like Eastern Europe or even India and places like that. So let's go through some of the details here. Here we can see here it's saying Citigroup will cut about 20,000 roles over the next 3 years as part of previously announced restructuring. And if we go through in a bit of detail, it's saying here Citigroup has said that in September it would be overhauling its corporate structure and cutting many management layers, which will include many job losses, right? And I just want to point out here, this is something very important because lots of people, they think, oh, if they climb the corporate ladder, they'll be safe. But what I see now at HSBC and other banks, they want to cut some of the higher cost employees, right? Rather than just the junior employees. Many people at the more junior end think, oh, they're going to be fired at any moment. And if there's job cuts, it'll always impact them. But in many cases now, there seems to be a trend where they're keeping the junior employees. There's a term out there called juniorization, which basically means they're keeping more junior employees. They're lower cost. They can do a similar jobs as some of the more senior employees, but they're getting rid of management layers. And instead of saying having 5 managers, they'll have 2 managers with the same number of junior employees because they just want to reduce the higher cost of some of these employees. And it's important to consider how that has a knock-on effect in terms of the rest of the economy. So many job cuts in Citigroup and even HSBC will mean, many people who are paying off their mortgages, who have stable jobs, they're in their mid to late 30s, 40s or older, they're going to struggle, right? They have not maybe set themselves up financially. They're probably living slightly beyond their means. And what I mean by that is they're living a typical middle class lifestyle, got a nice house in the suburbs, maybe putting their kids in private school or things like that. Have a nice car or two. They're going to struggle because they thought they followed all the rules, they played by the rule book, and they're going to have a stable management career until they retire in their 60s or 70s and just have a comfortable, easy, simple, stable life. But that's just not really what's occurring. So it's interesting to see because many of the younger generation, sometimes we feel we're being unfairly targeted with the state of the economy. But many of these older demographics who've had an easy ride for a large extent are really going to start feeling the heat when it comes to this dysfunctional economy. Here it says, internally the initiative, which is known as Project Bora Bora, and its employees have discussed cuts that could amount to at least 10% of the company's workforce, right? In several major businesses, according to CNBC, redundancy are related to the overhaul that began in November. So it's something that's going to be ongoing. 10% is a significant amount, and it's not like they're going to be replaced overnight. I think this is bigger than what people always talk about, which is, oh, there's a recession, there's going to be job cuts, it's going to be a rough few years, and then things will get back to normal. I don't think the new normal is going to be dysfunction, more job losses. It's like a longer term trend rather than just a short term thing that's just going to turn around in the next few years. So I just want to look at this other headline, right, which is this kind of dysfunctional economy or dysfunction within the company itself of Citigroup, right? We have this CEO, Jane Fraser, who's been overhauling the technology department, their risk management department to compliance, things like that. So all these type of scandals that are going on internally are kind of being exposed or leaked out, or lots of information is kind of hitting the media about how this company is actually working, right? In July, 2 regulators fined the city $135 million for failing to make enough progress to fix its data management issues. Now, when you see these big companies, these big banks, you think, oh, they must have this world-class, first-class tech department, or the way they manage things have to be super efficient. You see these fancy skyscrapers, but in reality, it's super dysfunctional, bloated, inefficient, outdated processes and programs they don't want to pay to update. And you have these long, cumbersome processes for everything, right? And that's why you have all these, fines, because they're being fined for not actually improving their data management system. They're making billions and billions of dollars in profit, some of the most profitable companies in the world. There's a reason why they're, well-known, or people want to work for them to make a lot of money. But their infrastructure is very weak, right? The bank had agreed in 2020 to work on these problems, including other risk controls. And previously, they paid $400 million in fines to the Federal Reserve the Office of Controller of Currency, as you can see here, right? So they've already been paying quite a lot of money for these inefficient processes in the sense of not renovating them, not improving them, just paying off the problem, hoping it'll go away. Here it says 8 employees kind of told Business Insider on an anonymous confidential basis about some of these scandals, right? They were surprised that some of the more senior management managed to make it to these head of transformation roles, given they've never held a leadership roles in technology or compliance. So just to add and explain a bit of context here, right? Firstly, I want to say, with Citigroup, HSBC, JP Morgan, there's a growing trend with a lot of these banks having people who are leaking a lot of information. We can say always there's been a bit leaks, when it comes to celebrity gossip and some corporations to a certain extent. But I think there's more and more employees who are at, I would say, the mid or senior level of many of these companies who are kind of had enough. And they seem to be leaking a lot of information to the media. I continually see this as a trend as I do my research and so on. But it's reminding me of like what would go on in politics when you hear rumors that someone's going to get kicked out of a political party or get removed from a role, or what would happen, like I say, in Hollywood and celebrity gossip. So I think many people are kind of rocking the boat. They feel they're not in a stable position, so they feel like, well, I have nothing to lose by leaking information to the media. They're like watching the ship burn, like being on the Titanic. They have no problem kind of making the hole in the ship bigger and making the sink faster like a sinking ship. So what they're doing here is they're talking about this particular individual here, right? They're talking about Selva, right? Who is someone who's been put in quite a senior role. And he's a chief operating officer, right? So he's going to handle operations, manage some of the risks they've got at the bank. And it's saying here that 8 employees are kind of subscribed. He's been put in a senior management role, given he doesn't have experience in any leadership role, in any real capacity, right? And I just want to point that out because it's something you'll see time and time again. You'll see a major issue that needs to be addressed, and then the manager will just put their friend in a management role because maybe they know they're submissive, they're easy to control, they're not going to be competition or threat to someone in a more senior position. So they're like, oh, he's average, he'll be okay. And I've seen that actually other investment banks where a new manager will come in at a senior level. He sees the people who are just junior than him as a threat or maybe too good at their job. And then he starts manufacturing narratives that they're too risky, they're not doing the right things to get rid of them because they could be easy replacements for him. And then what he'll do, the new people he would hire in senior management beneath him will be very much mediocre. They'll be like people who would never be able to take the next step up. So lots of people, when you see them in senior management or middle management roles, they're not because they're the best person, because they're average and they're not a threat to the level of management above them to replace them. So that's why if you see these type of weird downgrades in management quality, there's a reason for it, right? It's because they're easier to control, not because they're better at the job. So let's keep going through this, right? So we see 8 employees see that this senior management guy we just seen had been put in a leadership role. And how do they describe Citi's culture, right? I'm sure some of you want to work there, and this is their words, not mine. So you can see from some of the examples I put forward in my videos is that, some of my criticisms of some of these corporate environments, it's not just me saying it. There's many people, when they have the chance to be honest, typically through anonymity, whether it's comment sections, forums, or leaking information to the media, they tell you the truth of how things really work and not this glossy, overly nice, the way that the corporations would present themselves, right? Like Citi will have a very flamboyant kind of culture that they promote to oh, you can work here in these top offices, you'll have a fancy life, you'll have a paying salary and things like that. And sometimes it's not actually like that. So here we have Citi's culture is being described by the leakers, the people who are leaking this information. Citi's culture is a cliquey environment. It rewards managing up over results, noting that the COO, the Chief Operating Officer's promotion, followed dismal performance for wealth unit that he oversaw. So what they're trying to say here is, firstly, when they talk about managing up, if you ever have that piece of advice, I received that piece of advice at another investment bank where I didn't like my manager. He was a very difficult, negative person, not just with me, with people who used to do the role, other people who worked in the team after me. And other people would say, oh, well, what I need to do is manage up, which basically means manage the temper tantrums of your management, right? Just give them what they want, be overly nice to them, suck up to them. That's what managing up means, if you ever get that piece of advice. Now, in this context, what it's basically saying is it's a similar thing. You just need to keep the management happy by pulling through whatever statistics or whatever perception of progress that you need, rather than actually presenting results, right? It's just the perception is more important than the results of the work itself. Now, he's saying that this person who's been promoted to chief operating officer has never been successful. They didn't have a success when they're managing a wealth unit, so there's no reason for why they're in the position they're in. And this guy who's the chief operating officer, he's trying to manage this massive overhaul of the whole company, right? Changing their operations, technology, risk management, compliance, firing 20,000 employees that might be doing duplicative roles. So this is the type of ridiculous people you have in positions of power. And I'm sure that part of the reason he's in that position of power is because he's an easy person that they could kick out, right, after the job's done. And what I mean by that is he's going to probably take a lot of the flack when there are fines on the company, when there are people who are getting fired and things like that. And she can kick him out and he can be the bad guy, right? If they're going to have good cop, bad cop, she can be the good cop as the CEO and play the female empowerment role. And he can be the guy who's the fall guy when it comes to making job cuts, dealing with, like I say, regulatory fines, $100 million fines. He's the guy who'll be the face of dealing with that, right? And, you know, I don't want to bring race or gender too much into it, but sometimes I do see that, like, where it's like, oh, if there's an Indian guy or an outsourcing team in India, they'll deal with all the real kind of grimy, difficult work or, like, slog through a bunch of data management and things. But thankfully, we have an affluent white female liberal to be the positive face on that and kind of get the credit for the work that needs to be done. So it's kind of interesting how these things is working, right? But we have an interesting detail about this guy. Lots of information's being leaked. So it's saying Selva's also come under scrutiny for a lawsuit filed against him and by the bank by ex-executives. I covered this in another video, actually, right? If you look back a few months ago. So what happened was we had a Citigroup employee, right? An interim data chair, so quite a senior person, Kathleen. And she alleged that Selva pressured her to hide information from the OCC, the US regulator, that they had been doing inappropriate things at Citi, right? Things that could make Citi look bad. And she was fired after she refused to essentially play along with hiding this controversial information about how Citi was managing things internally. Now, there's lots of cover-ups internally at banks, and they want you to cover things up often, right? Lots of very questionable information controls, insider dealing, market manipulation, and what they try to do is cover it up, don't discuss it, don't have written records of it until later down the line when there's a fine and they pretend, oh, we didn't have a process or procedure to manage it, but next time we will. Or they spread the risk, right? They CYA, cover your ass if you're familiar with that term. Basically, they say, oh, a whole committee has agreed to it. There's one little thing we didn't notice. It's no one individual's fault. So that's kind of the safer way of doing it. The risky way of doing it is when they put it all on one person. They just want you to agree to something on an email that it's not an issue or that you've dealt with it. And somehow, if it came up later down the line with the US regulator and there was a $100 million fine, you're the fall guy. There's an email saying that you said it wasn't an issue, so they can all blame it on one person and get rid of you. It's clear that she didn't want to play along with this. She could see it could be a setup, allegedly, based on how I'd interpret this, that she essentially was fired. They said she had a performance issue, when I don't think it was that. I think she just didn't want to cover up things that didn't seem right. Now, as part of this massive internal change Citigroup is going through, like I say, firing 20,000 employees, rejigging how the whole thing works, it's saying there's a challenge here, because the challenge with the transformation role, when you're maybe an individual internally who's responsible for changing how your particular team or department works, there's many people who are working on this project of completely renovating the bank. The challenge with the transformation role is that you're accountable yet not responsible. The managing director in the transformation said the role is really coordinating and getting others to do what they need to do, which is very different from running a business. But the entire team follows your lead. You own it. You have the ability to actually get them to do this stuff. What was it trying to say here? It's essentially when you're accountable but not responsible. This reminds me of a line, I try to keep it kind of neutral here, but there's a term in the red pill community or manosphere, however you want to describe it, where they say many men are in relationships with women these days, or in marriages, wife type of dynamic, and the man is kind of held responsible for how things work. He's really accountable, but in a sense, he's not responsible. And what I mean by that is, right, if something goes wrong, a woman can blame him, the government, the media can blame him. It always seems to be the guy's fault, but there's not really accountability from both parts to both the husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend to manage things. It always falls on one person. Typically, the man gets the blame for anything that goes wrong. And you see this with breakups. It's always the man's fault somehow, right? And it reminds me of how these corporations work when you're an employee, right? You're put in a position where you have to do a bunch of things, and it's like you don't really get the credit for it. Typically, it might be your manager, or you're just held accountable for loads of things where it's just not working in a functional way where you're actually reaping the benefits of things, and you're managing massive risk of, like, say, removing an entire team because the company wants to transform and make job cuts, but you end up getting the short end of the stick, or maybe more, your team has to do more work through removing other team members. So it's a very difficult position to be in where you're kind of dealing with a very chaotic environment, which is how I'd interpret this at Citi currently. Here it says, when everyone is accountable, effectively no one is. A former senior vice president in transformation, this transformation project, was saying that you get stuck in a lot of bureaucracy, bouncing from one department to the other and being debated in committee for months. And this is a typical inefficiency you'll have to deal with, right, when you want to make major change. And that's why, there's a phrase, optimizing the cog, which means you're a cog in the machine of the massive corporation. Just focus on a little bit you're doing and make it the best you can. Because typically, if you're trying to lead a massive project, get super emotionally invested, that's a bad decision. You should be as detached as you can from your job in a sense, because things are going to be inefficient. If you're really trying to push something forward and it's not moving forward, just let the company move at a slow pace, as a bureaucratic, time-wasting pace. Don't get worked up or emotionally attached that there isn't a lot of progress. That's the bank's fault or the company's fault for not pushing things forward. So it's really an interesting kind of perspective of what's going on here with this dynamic at the bank. If you're working at Citigroup, it'd be interesting to hear, maybe in the comments section, what you've been hearing in the industry, what you've been hearing in the market in terms of job cuts, in terms of this new CEO, how they're doing things quite differently. Are you familiar with any of these senior management? The CEO, Selva, who's here, who's managing the operations of the bank. And this is the type of thing, just to conclude on, is what you need to be looking out for in this type of industry, where you're going to have a lot more job cuts, a lot of people who are going to have to pick up the slack for people who are being cut from the company, and lots of very radical decisions made by management to save money because they're not making a lot of money in this type of slow economy. So it's worthwhile bearing in mind and making sure you're protecting yourself, protecting your role as best as you can, and making sure you're seen as a subject matter expert so they don't put you up for being fired as best as you can, protect yourself. And also just being aware of what can be dumped on you in terms of responsibility. Do you want to be accountable for certain things or not? So you have to navigate this very tricky game they're playing, where the management's not going to take responsibility, but they're going to dump a lot of things on you. So thanks for listening. There are 2 recommended videos on your screen right now, and I'll see you next time.